Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this Xamarin Forms tutorial I'd like to show you how we can take the default content page of a application that's basically just been created inside of Visual Studio. Take this content page and convert it into its own XAML layout file combined with its own C#, or more specifically a XAML.C# file. So we're going to take this and we're going to basically put it in a layout file. So in order to create our own XAML file for this content page so that we can have it laid out basically in an XML format rather than in actual C# code, we need to first go over to our project, and here we'd be specifically talking about the root project, not the other projects that are basically targeting specific operating systems like Droid, iOS, or Universal Windows. Rather, most of the code you do write in Xamarin Forms by design is going to go in the root project because it applies to all the projects. So here I'm going to right click on the tutorial playground project. That's the one without any dot extension. Go to add new item, and then we're going to be looking for the cross-platform visual C# options. So the one we want here is a Forms XAML page, which basically means we're going to have a XAML file mixed in with the C# code for this page, more specifically a content page. And it's part of Xamarin Forms. So let's go ahead and give it a name down here. We could just call it testpage.cs. I think that's perfectly fine. Now when I go ahead and hit add, it's going to make this a two-part class, actually. So it's one test page. Part of it is basically coded with the XAML file, and then the rest is in the .xaml.cs file. You can see here in the C# part that it is a partial class. So it's got the name of our class, and it is extending content page. So now we can go over to the XAML file, and we'll see that it's laid out in XML. XAML is XML after all. And we have a content page that's been defaulted to have a label with some text and centered inside of the page. No layout, just this label. Okay, so great. So let's go. One more thing, actually. Just so you know, initialize component, what this part does is it actually pulls in the XAML stuff, and basically on compile it puts this all into code so that it actually works. But let's go back to the app.cs, where it is basically creating the new content page inside of the app.cs file rather than using this external file. So we want a new content page. We want the content of that page to be a new stack layout. Let's actually go ahead and take care of that right now. So back in the testpage.xaml, I'm going to create a stack layout, and we'll just keep this as simple as possible for right now. We can get rid of the label. Just one thing you have to know about pages, if you don't already, is that the page can have one child, and that's usually going to be a layout, but as you can see, when it was defaulted, it was just defaulted to a view. That's also an option, but 90% of the time you're going to want a layout so that you can have multiple views in the same page. So we have a stack layout now in this content page. Let's see what else it wants. So this stack layout should have vertical options set to center, and it should have the children, one label, and that is also going to be centered on screen with the text "Welcome to Xamarin Forms." So back in testpage.xaml, I'm going to give this the vertical options, I believe it was, equal to center. And then in app.xaml, let's see, children, new label, X alignment, the text alignment rather should be center. So back in XAML, we need a label view, and the text alignment, I believe this is the property, is center. And if something goes wrong, we can, of course, come back in here and edit it later. And the text should be welcome to Xamarin Forms. So we could just put the text in here, since that's like the main property of the label. But an alternative way would be to do text equals whatever you want to have the label say. Now, since we wouldn't actually have any children in here, we could simplify this by doing a slash bracket to basically close the label off immediately. So I guess I'll do that. And yeah, I think that's all that this main page was supposed to have. So before we actually assign the test page to be the main page here, let's go ahead and test it with this hard-coded content page. So gonna boot up the local project real quick. Will take us a minute. Okay, so as you can see, as expected, with the default implementation of this content page, it just says welcome to Xamarin Forms, and it's been centered on the page. And that's exactly what we should expect when we create a new instance of our test page. So let's go ahead and do that now. I mean, this probably goes without saying, but the constructor for the test page is just test page. So we will go back over here, erase all of this because we don't need it, and do a new test page. You can either structure it like this, as it was before, and then basically have the things you need inside of there, or we can just do a standard constructor call, which is all I'm going to do here. So the main page is set to a new test page, and it should display on this screen immediately. So what we should expect from this is that it will look exactly the same, because the test page functionally is the same as that new content page that was being created here. Okay, no property name of text alignment found. Okay, so let's go back in there and fix that. Okay, so the mistake here was that I forgot to specify whether the text alignment was vertical or horizontal, and we want it centered horizontally because the stack layout is already vertically centered, so all we need is horizontal centering. Let's go ahead and build the project and debug it one more time. And looks like it's going to load, or it should, and bam, there we go. Welcome to Xamarin Forms. Exactly as it was with the content page being hard-coded into the app.cs file, but instead we have it separated into its very own testpage.xaml file and testpage.xaml.cs. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. I've been Chris. If it did help you out, consider checking out my Patreon, and I'll see you in my next video.